Congratulations, you're 18, you can vote, you can sign up for the army, you can legally live by yourself, you can do whatever the hell you want, but honey, put down that beer. Can't drink. It's 21. Coucou tout le monde, welcome back to Unintentionally Frenchified. I hope you're all enjoying the holiday spirit. 2020 was a year of COVID for a lot of people, meaning that no matter where you lived, whether you were in the US, in France, in Japan, you could really relate to a lot of people's problems this year because it was a global pandemic. But this isn't usually the case. Often problems in one country are very unrelatable for people in another country, and they just can't understand why you're getting your panties in a bunch for certain things. So today's video is going to explore some of those problems that Americans have that the French and the Europeans go, what the frack kind of problem is that? Before we jump into the video about the 8 problems very specific to good old America, I wanted to talk to you guys about Lingoda. If you've seen any of my other previous videos about Lingoda, then you know that I am a big fan of the Lingoda language sprints. And I actually talked in my video last month about the upcoming language sprint that starts in January. But Lingoda also has regular classes that use the Lingoda method just like a sprint. You still get the comfort of doing it in your own home, in your pajamas, 24/7. And of course, there's still the native speaking teachers that are so kind and so helpful. And on top of that, you will learn to do more than just order a warm, buttery croissant. You'll be able to speak another language with the same amount of personality that I am throwing at you every single week. Also, you might not recognize the logo because our dear friend Lingoda got a massive glow up recently, which not only included a beautiful new modern logo, but also new features like quizzes and homework that are really set to keep you on track in your language learning journey in 2021. So check out their 7-day free trial. It's so great because you get 3 free classes in a week. You honestly have nothing to lose to check it out. And if you decide that you want to sign up afterwards, I have in the description below a €20 off code for your very first month of classes. Honestly, you've got nothing to lose. And if my experience and my feedback isn't convincing enough, even if that will shock me, don't hesitate to go and check out Lingoda's Instagram. They have really great testimonials from alumni students and current students to help you out. They're not the #1 trusted language learning online school for nothing. All right, c'est parti with those pesky American problems that make the French say, quoi? Have you ever worried about not having straight, white teeth? We are obsessed in the US about straight, white teeth. I literally had braces 3 different times in my life, mainly because I was an asshole and I didn't wear my retainer, but also because I was American and thought that when I didn't wear my retainer and my teeth moved back, that I would die of shame if I didn't have straight teeth. Now, let's all be honest, healthy teeth are very important. How would I personally scarf down pizzas at an alarming rate if I didn't have healthy teeth? But straight and white don't necessarily mean healthy. And honestly, if you are not a 7-foot model with like a seriously cute gap in your front teeth and you're walking around with jacked up teeth, you're probably not American because most American parents are ready to put themselves in credit card debt for that expensive orthodontic work than let you walk around with not straight teeth. Crazy. Have you ever been worried about being evicted tomorrow? You probably haven't heard people talk about eviction as much in France as you have in the US, because in France it takes like years to evict people and you've got to go to court and you can't do it in winter and there's so many laws because everything is pro-renter. That shit's not the same in the US. We are very much pro-landlord, meaning that if your rent is, say, 2 weeks late, you're probably getting kicked out. If you throw a massive rager and damage the property, bye-bye. Or my favorite one, because this happened to a friend of mine, if you decided to sneak in a dog in an apartment complex that has a no pets policy, they're probably going to fine you and then ask you to be on your merry way. Quickly. Nobody's joking around over here. The threat of eviction in the US is real. Have you ever worried that the only rental car that might be available is a stick? Well, welcome to the US, because only 18% of Americans actually know how to drive a stick car. Everyone sees it as ancient and out of date and not necessary. And so what happens is everyone passes their license on automatic cars and everyone drives automatic cars, even though legally you have the right to drive a stick once you have your license. In France, if you pass your driver's test on an automatic car, you can't legally drive a stick because that doesn't actually make sense. But in the States, that's how things roll. So what happens when you are deciding to rent a car last minute and they only have the cars left that nobody else wants, and usually that means that there is a stick shift among those cars. Ever had that problem? Probably not, because you probably know how to drive a stick. Have you ever worried about crippling student loans? Ever worried about leaving university with $100,000 in debt? Now, I know that there are people who take out student loans in Europe to pay for studies too. But the average American is leaving college, a 4-year undergraduate degree, with over $25,000 in student loans. We're not even talking about people that need to continue their education. Lawyers, doctors, PhD, masters, business school. Oh, and can I just mention the cost of books as well? Like an actual book for a 4-month class at college in the US can easily cost you $200. How much am I paying to go to school already? You couldn't find cheaper books for the classes? Have you ever worried about being in credit card debt? In the US, we rely heavily on credit cards. The average American is over $6,000 in debt with a credit card. And I'm not talking about things Europeans can relate to, like a house payment or a car payment. I'm talking about things just to go out and live your average, everyday life. Buy groceries, go to the movies, just putting those types of things on a credit card. I mean, when I was 16 in high school, I knew people that were already in credit card debt. Which takes me to my next point. Have you ever worried about your credit score? Now, there is a reason why Americans are so obsessed with credit cards, because we have a credit score. Credit score is a number between 300 and 850, the higher the better, and it tells your bank, your landlord, your employer how reliable you are when it comes to paying back borrowed money. This score is based on lots of different factors, including your current debt and how well you make your monthly payments on time. Which means that if you don't have a high credit score, it is very expensive or just impossible to borrow money from the bank for, say, buying a house. And if you're a young adult and you don't have a credit score, it's also impossible to do things like buy a house or take out a new credit card. So what happens? But parents take out credit cards for their kids. And then you have 16-year-olds that are already in debt. It is a vicious circle. Have you ever worried about being unemployed, like next week? Compared to a lot of European job markets, the US job security is like a -1 billion. It sucks. Now, it is all sorts of crazy to try and follow what actually is legal in each state, but in general, there are still a lot of states that practice at-will unemployment, meaning that you can be fired at literally any time for almost anything. Like serious Donald Trump stuff. Like, you're fired. On Twitter. You didn't even know before I made the post. It's vicious. And, you know, you can be fired in France, but it's a process. And there's a lot of rules. And there's a lot of packages. And there's just a lot going on when that happens. Not so much in the US. Not so much. Alright guys, that is all for this week. I am sure I've left out some American problems that Europeans cannot relate to. I did not even touch on healthcare. So let me know in the comments below what you would have added, what you thought. I'm sending everybody lots of holiday cheer, and I will see you all next week. Bisous!